Clean. It's everywhere. On your skincare bottles, in your grocery aisles, whispered in yoga classes, and splashed across websites. Clean beauty, clean eating, clean living.
With Clean at Sephora, we celebrate more than what's not in our products. It's the good we put in that moves the...
It sounds good. Who doesn't want clean things, right? But this one word has quietly become one of the most powerful tools in modern culture, shaping how we buy, how we think, and how we signal our values. And here's the thing. I actually despise this word, not because I don't like clean dishes or clean sheets, but because in wellness and marketing, clean has become a linguistic chameleon. It changes its meaning depending on who's using it, and most of the time, no one stops to ask what it actually means. In this episode, we're unpacking how this single word became a cultural symbol, a political tool, and a marketing goldmine, and more importantly, how to see through it. The word clean sounds harmless, even obvious. Who doesn't want things to be clean? But in wellness and marketing, this word is doing a lot more heavy lifting than you might think. This isn't new. In Victorian England, public hygiene movements made cleanliness next to godliness more than a proverb. It was a social expectation. Soap ads preached moral virtue alongside suds, and cleanliness became a way to signal civility, discipline, and even moral worth. Public health campaigns of the 19th and early 20th centuries linked washing hands and clean streets, not just to disease prevention, but to being a good citizen. In many places, clean bodies meant civilized people, and anything less was coded as dangerous, lazy, or uncultured. Religious purity language slid seamlessly into everyday life. Clean versus unclean wasn't just about dirt, it was also about who was considered pure, moral, and worthy. Over time, these associations stuck. Politically and culturally, clean works like a Rorschach test. Everyone sees what they want to see. On the conservative side, you'll find clean living wrapped in family values, self-reliance, and sometimes religious language about moral purity. A return to the proper way of living. On the progressive side, clean becomes a badge of eco-consciousness, health-forward choices, and ethical consumerism. It signals that you're informed, enlightened, and doing better. Same word, completely different visions of the good life. That's the genius of a linguistic chameleon. It doesn't pick sides, it thrives on ambiguity. I used to work in marketing, consultative sales, fancy pitches. I genuinely believed in what I offered. But underneath the mission statements and strategy decks, the goal was simple: make money. And if you find a word that makes people feel good and doesn't require you to define it, that's gold. Clean is gold. Marketers don't have to build the story. The culture already did that. All they have to do is drop clean in the right place, on the bottle, in the influencer script, on the landing page, and your brain will do the rest. It bypasses skepticism because the word comes preloaded with centuries of meaning. This is where psychology comes in. Daniel Kahneman talked about two modes of thinking: fast brain, which is automatic, emotional, effortless, and the slow brain, which is analytical, skeptical, energy intensive. When you see clean, your fast brain lights up. Good, safe, virtuous, buy it. Your slow brain would ask, okay, but clean according to what standard? Who set the rules? What actually changed? Marketing depends on fast thinking. It scales. Slow thinking doesn't. That's why these words work. They slip under the radar before your skeptical brain even clocks in. So when you hear clean, remember, you're not just hearing a marketing claim. You're hearing centuries of moral language, political narratives, and cognitive shortcuts, all packed into one word, and that's why it sells. All right, time to bring this down to the shelf level, because all of the cultural history and cognitive science is fascinating, but it really hits home when you're standing in an aisle trying to choose between this clean product and that regular one. Let's make this real. We've talked about how clean operates both culturally and politically, but how does it actually show up when you're standing in a grocery aisle? To find out, let's look at two baby cereals. On the left, we've got Amara organic oats and berries, the clean option. Organic ingredients, sleek, minimalist packaging, words like superfood, no added sugar, and a clean label project certification. On the right, a familiar classic, Gerber multigrain baby cereal. No lofty, clean claims, just a bright box, some smiling babies, and a list of grains and fortified vitamins. Amara, however you want to say it, I'm not sure, keeps it simple. Oats, apple, banana, blueberries. Everything's organic. Gerber, on the other hand, a blend of wheat, oat, barley, corn, and rice, plus fortification with iron, vitamin C, B vitamins, and zinc. Not a bad thing, by the way. Fortification is a major reason these cereals have improved infant nutrition globally. Does Amara define what clean means on the package? No. Like most companies, they lean on cultural associations. The word does the heavy lifting. Your brain fills in the rest. Here's where it gets interesting. Amara comes in at roughly $59.99 for 20 meals, so that's around $3 a serving. Gerber? $3.79 for the whole box, or about 17 cents a serving. So that's a 17 times markup for what's essentially oats and fruit versus grains and vitamins. Amara is all about purity, simplicity, a kind of elevated motherhood, using words like superfood for super babies. Gerber goes for trust, tradition, and developmental reassurance. Words like supports normal cognitive development. Neither is lying, they're just playing different cultural cards. So how do you push back when you see clean plastered on a label? You don't need a PhD in food science, you just need a pause button. Next time you see clean, try this. Who's defining it? Is there an actual definition, or is the word just hanging out there like a halo? What's actually different? Is it ingredients, process, or just marketing language? What trade-offs are hiding under the buzzword? Price, nutrient content, shelf life? Once you see how this word operates, the spell breaks. You stop being passively marketed to. You start deciding whether that clean label actually reflects your values, or if it's just selling you a feeling. Because clean isn't a regulated definition, it's a cultural shortcut. And the moment you slow down, the shortcut stops working on you. Clean is a cultural Rorschach test. What you see in it depends on your history, your politics, your fears, and your hopes. And marketers know that. They don't need to spell it out. You will fill in the meaning for them. That's the genius of the word. It lets your own values do the heavy lifting. The power move isn't to avoid the word entirely, it's to pause, look through it, and make choices that actually reflect your values. Not a buzzword that's been doing cultural work for centuries. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss future deep dives. And if there's a cultural buzzword you want us to unpack next, drop it in the comments, and I will see you next time.